Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Block Sauce, your weekly web show that serves up the juiciest discussions in the world of gaming and Web3 culture. I'm your host and NFT ambassador, Jim Kieran, and today I've had way too much caffeine, so we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. Let's go! All right, we got Blizzard, we've got Solana, we've got GTA, and now we have Jorge, Sinjin, and Dub joining me to discuss all of this. How are you guys doing today?
Dude, great day, man. Glad to be alive.
I'm on my fourth cup of coffee, so bear with me. Try to keep up.
Oh! Let me tell you, son. You try to keep up with me, Papa. You're the newbie here.
I got the Red Bull going on.
You see?
This matcha has been brought to you by Shrapnel. Even the glass is branded.
I am done. I am done with Red Bull. Red Bull is so bad for you. I overdosed on caffeine on Sunday and ended up having to kill my stream early because I had a Red Bull, I had a coffee, and I had a 5-hour energy, and I was like, nope, that was bad.
And here you are gloating about your caffeine intake, dude. Like,
this is coffee. This is natural caffeine.
No, bro, dude. Like,
I can see what other natural stuff there are in the world that's not very good for you, but I think it's good for you, actually. But whatever.
Hang on, real quick. Dub, we got praise from the commenters. Dub, the product placement. Right now, Dub is winning hard. That is Graslow and Doug Hype in the chat. And I can see why. You got the AVAX beanie, you got the Shrapnel hoodie. I'm all for it. I love it.
Hey, man, I got the Shrapnel hat.
Hey, no one's got the Shrapnel glassware like Dub.
You shillers. New York City, all the way. NYC.
Oh, man. Hang on, Dub. Where can I get a Shrapnel hoodie?
I don't know, bro.
They need a merch store. If they don't have one, they need one.
You better start digitizing this shit out if you're not getting sponsorship money. He's got this AVAX shit going on, AVAX going on. What do you got there? Export, whatever.
Yeah. All right. So I just want to go ahead and jump into the discussion, mostly because we had BlizzCon last weekend. And as somebody who was playing WoW before we jumped into this video call, I am absolutely ecstatic with the new direction that Blizzard's taking. For anybody that missed BlizzCon, they are trying to be more transparent. They have roadmaps for like the next 6 years for multiple of their games, including World of Warcraft. They confirmed 3 new expansions for World of Warcraft. They confirmed a new expansion next year for Diablo. I am loving this. I think that this transparency from Blizzard is absolutely needed. It's something that we've been pushing in Web 3, and we're seeing it start to kind of take fruition in Web 2. Do you guys think Blizzard's back? Do you think this is a good direction now that the Microsoft acquisition is through?
Blizzard's you just fucked yourself by calling them the Microsoft acquisition. Where does it ever go well when Microsoft acquires
so
something?
Much lack of confidence? Is Blizzard back, guys? Please tell me. No. It just speaks to this market, right? Honestly, I haven't heard anything about BlizzCon except from you and Coop, on Twitter.
Same.
As far as no, seriously.
And I'm Korean. I'm a hardcore Blizzard lover. Back in the day,
and I'm not. So as far as user acquisition goes from this large event that they did, big fail. Cool for your community, man, but you ain't growing. Where are you gonna be in 5 years?
I don't know, man. The subscriptions. I'm playing World of Warcraft, like I said, right now. Players are back. That trilogy announcement was huge. Diablo 4 community is extremely pleased with the Diablo 4 expansion announcement. The only thing I'm really disappointed about, I'm absolutely heartbroken, StarCraft. Where the hell is StarCraft, Blizzard?
Who?
Oh, you said players are back. They're not even getting new players. Like I said, they're not.
They don't need new players. They need returning players.
You need new user base to survive in this world. Otherwise, 10 years from now, you're done.
How many million subscribers might say otherwise?
Hey, if it's a decaying number, then it has a rate of decay and it has a shelf life.
But is it decaying though? Have you looked into it?
I'm saying it's decaying.
I mean, it just we're like back to the conversation. It's like, where is everybody, right? Like, what have they done? Like, why did they go down this path? Like, this path, right, ultimately led them to, hey, we got to rebrand or rethink this, right? Because all of a sudden we lost everybody, and now we're rebranding, right? And it's like, yeah, we're gonna be back, but like, once you fuck up in this space, like in gaming, like, you just leave a bad taste sometimes, and like it's hard to get people back to like coming unless you come out with something that's like, wow, like holy crap, I gotta try this. I don't care who makes it. It's again tough to regain the crowd when there's other really cool stuff being built right now.
In the case of go ahead.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, like there's like game marketing and announcements and everything else like that, and then there's the actual development, right? Like, I mean, if we're talking about like, are the glory days going to come back for Blizzard? Well, if they are, you're not going to see that for the next like 2 or 3 or 4 years, right? Because dev takes that long, right? And you're going to get people who have to be inspired, because ultimately gaming is about passion and inspiration, right? No amount of marketing is going to just fix that over the night, or transparency. Maybe it's a good step in the right direction. But, as we all know, like a lot of the OG team of, a lot of starting these franchises have left a long, long time ago, right? And it's been pretty much downhill for like the last 5-6 years.
Depends on the franchise. But I have a question for the audience. Did you guys watch BlizzCon? What are you the most excited for? Drop it in the chat. Let me know your answers. That being said, I'm a big World of Warcraft person, right? There was actually, because Jorge mentioned, they did stuff. They lost me as a player. The updates were bad. The game was going downhill. The new expansion that came out last year, I was very hesitant. I didn't want to buy it. I didn't buy the last expansion. I'd fallen out of World of Warcraft, but they had a free weekend, right before the new expansion came out. I jumped in for the weekend. I was like, oh, damn, World of Warcraft's back. I bought the expansion. I've played for the last year. The announcement for the new 3 expansions, discussing briefly, kind of where the story's going, and everything's got me hyped for it. So me as a World of Warcraft player, I do feel like they are coming back, but I agree with Sinjin that they're not there yet. It's going to take multiple years. They need to fulfill these promises, because right now it's all words, but actions speak louder than words, right? But I don't know. To me, this is a step in the right direction. I am glad to see you finally go for it.
What was it that made you get back into it, right? Like, was it something within the game experience, what is it that sparked that? Because that's the thing. What we're trying to get at is once the spark is gone, how do you get right back into it, like you just did, right? Like, so that activation that is saying, hey, it just happened, it caught me by eye, or is it like, hey, I'm an avid, fan, gamer, community member, however you want to put it, right?
So it was the fact, there's a few different elements to it, right? First off, their gearing system in Battle for Azeroth was absolutely terrible. It's like they tried to copy Diablo, and you had to grind a bajillion different activities to get the same exact piece of gear with different rolls on it, and it really messed up the entire gearing and progression process. They got rid of that. Thank God. The story presentation and the lore and stuff that they had introduced with previous expansions was just going downhill. It was starting to get predictable and boring and repetitive. They got rid of all of that. They finally went back to what made World of Warcraft great, and that's focusing on the world building, the storytelling, the content that brings players together and makes them want to jump in every day. But it's just like Call of Duty, right? We saw a lot of people upset with Modern Warfare 2. They didn't like the fact that slide canceling was removed. They didn't like the fact reload animation canceling was removed. Here comes Modern Warfare 3, and now everybody's hyped again because all that stuff came back. Sledgehammer Games, unlike the other studios, are showing that they're listening to the community, they're finding out where the weak areas are, and they're willing to iterate and improve on those weak areas. So to me, this is a good signal. Now, does that make me am I going to sit here and be like Blizzard and Activision are the best companies in the world over it? No, because they still do have that history of screwing things up. So it's one of those, I am cautiously optimistic moving forward.
No, you're happy as fuck right now. You're such a fanboy.
I'm happy for World of Warcraft.
I'm
happy.
He's so fucking happy.
I am happy for World of Warcraft, and that's it, because they didn't even mention StarCraft in their opening ceremony. They're like, "Where's my Overwatch fans? Where's my Diablo fans? Where's my Warcraft fans?" And then StarCraft, nothing. Not even a mention, not a peep, not a word, and StarCraft fans are devastated. We didn't even get a new DLC announcement for StarCraft 2. We got no new game news, no patch notes, nothing for StarCraft, which to me is, I love that IP. I think if they made a StarCraft, either FPS or MMO, done. And we've seen that they have developed and tried those behind the scenes and canceled all of them. But look at Warcraft. It started with the same genre. It evolved into an MMO, and now it's one of the top games in their genre. That is what StarCraft needs right now. They need a modernization, a move from RTS to something that's a lot more accepted and played by players. And I think that would do amazing things for that franchise. So I really hope. We did see that. I think it was Mike Ybarra who spoke on it, said that they were going to possibly see a return of StarCraft, but not in the RTS fashion. So it looks like Microsoft is already looking to capitalize on that franchise, and I really hope they go through with it.
Hey, Sinjin and Dub, next time, can we make sure we review what the notes are for these shows and give back our feedback? Because I think I know who chose the topics today.
I chose Blizzard. I definitely chose Blizzard. Look, guys, I am a Blizzard fanboy. I mean, again, World of Warcraft even has pseudo play-to-earn systems. I think that Blizzard does a lot right that Web3 could look at and find ways to mimic and build sustainable economies in video games. But does that mean that they're perfect? No, not at all.
My only feeling towards this whole thing is there's a common marketing play being done by all these Web2 giants, and it's the nostalgia play right now. Yep. And it's so freaking weird to me because it's not a user acquisition play. Mm-hmm. It never will be. Like, I don't care what you say. It won't. It's nostalgia. Nostalgia is not user acquisition. So like,
but the thing is, do you need, when you have 1 million plus active subscribers paying $15+ a month, that's not including microtransactions for the skins, the character transfers, the level boosts, and all the other assets, but just $15 a month from millions of players, do you really need to worry about bringing on new people at that point, or do you need to focus on retention?
See, this is a really interesting point, because I think from where me and Dub are as a little bit older, we're from the early era of video games, mm-hmm. where, there was innovation like every year. We didn't say we were FPS guys or RTS guys. It was like whatever the new game came out was the new game. I almost feel though, literally playing video games since 1980, that the entire video game market is starting to kind of plateau in terms of the creativity and what's being put out there. And much like the rest of the entertainment business, it's about franchises and not taking these risks. And I understand why, because the cost of development has gotten so high now, and the length of time for development has gotten so high that there is such a monetary risk. And I think that entire idea also of like the money that's involved right now in video games, you can't get away from this, like,
yeah,
talking about monetization, talking about whatever. And, back in the day, I would say for me and Dub again, it never came up. Like, how are they monetizing? What is the, rate of subscription, all this other stuff. Seriously, it wasn't like a consideration where we're justifying, what the games are based on how much money they're making. Rather, it would be like, what are the new games and what are the games that are kind of drawing in new players, right? And new trends. So I wonder, I kind of feel that, the entire video game industry is getting very stagnant, especially like you get all these new FPS shooters out there and they're virtually, the same mechanics, right?
Yeah.
It's just different themes.
It's so wild to me because like I come from the sporting goods market, which a lot of people know. And like going to the Shrapnel offices yesterday was my first time actually visiting a video game studio. That was a legit studio and everything like this. So I've been behind the scenes on brand teams for sports, and I got to see the company different, cultural difference, but team size difference. Holy crap. Mm-hmm. You got to pay for like 30 times more people in gaming. It's absolutely insane. Like I ran a snowboard brand with like 15 people, and like that was the size of like the community. It's just nuts. Like you really, and especially on the dev side, that game dev is a freaking army. To those salary, those are not newbie armies. You know, these are veteran career people that come with hefty salaries. And like, holy, yeah, it costs a lot to make a game, and then on top of it, the monos, everything's Sinjin. I just saw it IRL, and my brain kind of exploded.
And Dub, hang on, to expand on Dub real quick, because we got a comment from the viewers, and that is actually without considering the contractual lawyers who aren't sitting in those offices too.
Yeah,
think about those staff too.
That's in sporting goods too, though. I mean, there's an army of legal and IP there too. That's nothing new. But like the core team that's behind the product, the guys thinking about it, the guys actually making it, the guys prototyping it, like the A to Z of making a new snowboard was so much simpler with so many less hands than it is like to make a snowboard video game. It's insane. It's actually, it just blows my mind.
And that's exactly why I think when we look at these fundraisers that raise $2 million, $4 million, it's not enough to build these video games. And that's, I think, what something is very misunderstood in this space, right? Because we always see it like, oh my God. So like, I mean, Sinjin's here, he'll tell you like how much he's dumping into what he's doing right now. And it's like, hey, like, you know, we're like the monetization standpoint before you're able to really kind of monetize it's still a lot. The roadmap is still very long for all the Web3 games, right? Because we still are missing users. And so it's like, man, like, okay, how do we do this to be able to survive to point, let's say Z, right? Or whatever it is. So I think that's kind of like, again, when I look at like these business plans or marketing plans and like their spend and like even the runway to look at what they want to hire, like there's so many things that get forgotten that you need to build the game. There's just so many things. And look, I'm not no expert on it, but I can tell you just the basics on what it is to even run a business that you need, right? And I think it's, again, it just goes back. Look, $20 million that Shrapnel raised is a lot of money, but how quickly do you burn through $20 million when you have a team that big, when you have all these activations that they're doing? It's going to go quick. So it does light a fire under the team as well, like, and it puts a lot more pressure to perform.
$20 million, like for like a AAA game, is like actually nothing. Right? It's like, it's really nothing, right? I mean, for our game right now, I think we're close to around a little bit over 3 million US, okay? And we have a single level, and, you know, the game mechanics relatively are quite simple. We have like whatever, 5 or 6 weapons right now. 7th one is being developed for a beta, right? And we, you know, I spec'd out 3 games before we decided on doing this one, specifically because we felt the scope, it could be done in about a year and a half. And that's how about maybe 18 months before we got to alpha, right? And I have 2 guys who are been in the video game industry for like 20 years on the dev side, right? So my guys are like, you know, AAA guys, right? But we purposely did a game where we thought, hey, we want to be able to do it within 2 years, right? But these AAA games, right? You know, it's 100 million. And that's like even considered low now, right? What is GTA coming out at? Right?
Almost $1 billion.
Like $2 billion?
Over $1 billion?
Oh, yeah, way over, like almost 2 billion, right? Maybe I'm talking my ass here, but it's definitely over $1 billion. Yeah, it's a lot, right?
Yeah, they can kind of print money with their GTA Online, so I think they can afford to do that. But I don't think other games have that luxury, even in AAA.
And the biggest thing here is, like, we haven't even talked about, is what is the lifespan after you spend, right? Like, what is the lifespan of the games? Like, do they last? How long do they last, right? How long can you make revenue to be able to last before you have to add something else, right? It's funny, we talked about Blizzard, right? Now we're talking about Web3 games, $20 million. You know, like, the aftermath is almost the biggest thing of like, hey, okay, maybe we're a big hit for 6 months. What happens at month 7 for us? These are like questions and concerns that like I look at and I'm like, how do you pay the bills in 2 years from today?
Well, we can go ahead and shift to the Web3 for a little bit. Shrapnel's token launched this week. How are we feeling about that?
I mean, it's interesting, right? Like they didn't market to the American market, right? And I don't know who they marketed to be honest with you. Like I was trying to understand that a little further. It's interesting that traditionally in Web3 gaming or in Web3 projects, there's a huge marketing like huge marketing campaigns leading up to your token generation event. And they're massive, right? With KOLs, everybody's speaking about it. Let's just say, look at Big Time just recently, right? Almost everybody was posting it about it. Shrapnel didn't do any of that, which is very interesting, right? Like considering the size of the game and considering, again, we're talking about money and like how much you're looking to raise. So I would almost wonder, like, is it the new meta to do it this way and wait for the game to be able to push like the token as gameplay experience is needed, like it's there, and then the token is used to whatever parts of the game to activate. But again, it's also the shift from the meta game to actual gamers wanting the game, right? Like I think that's like the shift that we're starting to see, and I don't know if Shrapnel's was the initial of that shift.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think they're actually even striking it to that chord because at the end of the day, the Shrap token, it's out now. It doesn't impact in the gameplay whatsoever. The game's not public to anyone right now. Mm-hmm. And with Big Time and the way they launched it live with the economy update. Yep. It's like, okay, it's usable in game, it's coming out, and it's live. Very different than the way Shrapnel is actually going about Shrap. And it's super interesting at the same time. I mean, I know the only other thing is like, at the end of the day, Shrapnel is located in the US. They do have to walk on eggshells. They need to be careful in the regulatory scope. So like, yeah, it makes sense the way that it was launched from my point of view. But it's weird that it's out there without impacting gameplay and being involved in, to me anyways, especially after seeing Big Time kind of launch with a live token and a live economy per se.
It's an interesting point, right? Because like, if you were to launch your NFTs and your tokens when the game comes out, it's very clearly there's a utility there, right? Mm-hmm. And so you are in that kind of, I wouldn't say regulatory bucket, but you are in that bucket where there's a clear distinction between the two, where the speculative aspect of it is not just solely there. There is this automatic utility because the game is using the tokens. Right. So in the case where Shrapnel, not to speak with them, I don't have any inside information for that, but I would say definitely being in the US, definitely launching it before the game's out, they would have to be very careful about presenting it in any speculative way because they would be put into a certain regulatory kind of, not bucket, but like, side of this.
Yeah, but so my issue with it is, like you mentioned, there's no use case for it right now. We don't have the game. It's not available. Me as a player in the US, all the exchanges that they announced, I'm blocked from. Why couldn't they launch on something like Coinbase that already has KYC for US residents? Why? I mean, all the centralized exchanges that they launched on, why not something accessible to the US, especially as a US company? And the thing is, they don't have, I understand the marketing. I'm not upset about the marketing. I found out through other creators and stuff. I get the legal hurdles of not talking about it on Twitter and stuff like that. That didn't bother me. But now I'm basically at the mercy of somebody creating a liquidity pool on a decentralized exchange, and I'm probably going to be buying this token at a premium if I want to use it in the game now. Yeah, that's where I'm kind of salty about the token. But that aside, I'm still hyped for Shrapnel. I'm still going to be playing Shrapnel 110%. It's just the token situation.
You're just wrong on a couple points there. So like the reasons we said before is why Americans cannot touch it. Like straight up, that's the reason is to get labeled as all these sort of things. And then the second part is Shrapnel did tweet out that they are planning for Americans to have full access to the economy of Shrapnel as it's designed.
But we already missed the initial sale though. So now we're at the mercy of how the economy plays out.
But have you ever seen a token for a game pump anywhere more than 50% gain, and then 3 months later be below 80% or 95%. So if anything,
you're welcome.
We gotta keep a case study on Big Time, because Big Time could potentially be an outlier in this situation. So
I'm glad you brought Big Time back up, because I almost want to know, like, a lot of the, like, we're talking about this is the question I would ask is, how many times has a token ruined an economy of a game, right? And so, like, I look at this approach and I think, like, maybe this makes a lot of sense, because the gameplay, like we're saying, there's no gameplay yet, right? You can't play the game. So maybe this kind of like allows it to regulate what the token sharp will be, right? And I don't know if internally, and again, these are one of those things that I could say you could always change. What is exactly like that going to be the average, if it's going to be $1, okay, like inflation in the game, whatever, because then it allows them really to be able to say, okay, instead of charging $50, because the sharp token's down 25, maybe we'll charge $60. I don't know, whatever it is. But I really think it might help them actually work on a better way of understanding what their value is of their token without having people to play this meta game, right? Because now people are playing a meta game, but we know that in the crypto space, people have brains like a goldfish, right? In two or 3 days, they're going to sell, or in a week, they're going to sell. So let that all get flushed out. Let it all get flushed out, and now bring in gamers to play the game and use it and find what the really use case of these people wanting to play these games are.
Well, it's also going to be determined by the in-game economy, and I kind of mentioned this in a chat yesterday or day before. Because there's a 3 billion supply, right? We all got airdrop depending on how what you own and how much you own, X amount of tokens. I got like 1,500, I think, and somebody was mentioning, well, that's nothing. That's not even going to be worth anything. And I was like, well, we have to wait and see what the in-game economy looks like, because think about it. If that 1250 Shrap buys me 2 skins. And depending on what those skins are, skins in Web 2 run anywhere from like $10 to $50. So that 1250 could be valuable to me as a gamer. It may not be valuable as a trader, but it may be valuable to me as a gamer. So I think it's still too early to tell. Like I said, I'm mostly just salty. I couldn't get it on the initial sale.
What's super funny to me too is like, and this is classic to degens and gamers, is like, I got so many comments yesterday in the chat that was like, oh, look how much Shrap Dub just extracted. Hell yeah. And it's like all these degens think, oh, extraction shooter token. So you go play the game and you extract the token and then you're rich. Let's freaking go. And like, there is so many more layers to this economy. Like, you play the game to extract Sigma, not Shrap. Like, get it through your heads, guys. Like, yeah, so I mean, it's a weird place. It's a weird time. There's a token out.
I would say that probably they will definitely release the token in the US when there's gameplay, and then again that puts them on that kind of other side of that regulatory aspect of it. But to release it beforehand the game, right? To be honest. It almost makes no sense unless there was some kind of investor pressure or there was a preset schedule to do so, because it's not so much that like you stabilize the token and then the gameplay further stabilizes it, right? Without it, it's two very separate things, right? You're in the speculative kind of trading aspect era, right, of investor confidence. And then one is like the actual utility and the cash flow and the revenue and how that works. And especially like, if the admissions of the tokens are based off of gameplay in any shape, way, or form, right? Then that also accelerates, supply inflation, right? Which has nothing to do with this period where the game, is unplayable, right? Publicly and using the token. So there are two separate kind of things, and I kind of disagree with Jorge here in the sense that. They're mutually exclusive, right? And so, this is, maybe some kind of obligation that was, penned in maybe 2 years ago when they were doing the fundraising, and, because of regulatory reasons, they may have had justifications to delay that release of the token until like the game's actually out, in particular for the US, right? As a US company.
Yeah. So real quick, I do want to shout out. We got Bryson in the chat right now, and so hi Bryson. He actually says he agrees with you because there's no point in releasing the token before the game launches unless investors are pressuring. Because maybe if the token launches earlier, investor lockups are also expedited, and that's what people should look at.
Yeah.
So,
It's like I think that's the thing about it is that I don't even know if the full token supply what it is compared to what got released for this, right? Because this is only a portion of the token supply that got released.
I think it's a very, very, very small amount, actually.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, there's still a lot of things. I think it's just like, again, the shift between where we are in the Web 2 to Web 3, like where is gaming, right? That's what everybody wants. And so like Shrapnel is that game that we want it to be part of like the gaming atmosphere, right? So it's like, man, like how do you change those? How do you change that mentality in this space, right? Like how do we get more people to adopt and understand our space?
I don't think we can. I think the current Web3 market that we do have is like 98% degen, okay? And that's just the way it is. And the main reason for that, 99, okay? The main reason for that is that we simply don't have any truly playable games with an open economy yet that's fully released. My game as well.
Amen.
But and the reason why is because a lot of games that came out right after Axie Infinity were basically cloning their model, right? So they took a Web 2 game and then they just cloned it in Arena, whatever like this or whatever. And so people were under this impression that, making a game was very, very simple, right? And then all these, play to earn games just imploded. And then we got actually new studios that came in looking towards doing a new model, right? And then that's like, we're basically, I would say 2024 is when now we're going to actually see a lot of games that are actually fully publicly open all the time with a full economy that's engaged, right? So, like this entire discussion about like players and stuff like that, the reality is there are no games for players to really play yet as well, right? So this is the market. It's a speculative market.
I was about to say, all of this is speculation. We're all guessing. Let's be honest.
Especially on AAA here, it's not even going to be by 2024. Like, be real. Like, AA to A will launch in 2024, maybe 2025. I mean, there's so much to do and so far to go, even for Shrapnel, based off like the behind the scenes and everything I got there. It takes a lot of time.
I mean, just looking at the top 3 Fidelity games that I've played in terms of FPS, right? We've got Dead Drop, we've got Shrapnel, and we've got Metalcore. All 3 of them are still very early. They're all missing textures, models, stuff like that. They're letting us get in early to start testing the game, figuring out the mechanics, so we can give them feedback. They can balance things. But these games are still not going to be 1.0, not come 2024. I think 1.0 is at least 2025.
I'll happily carry the market for the next year and a half. Thank you. You're welcome, guys.
You're set, me.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. I've said this to you guys before, and I'll say it again. We're not in year 1 of Web3 gaming yet, right? We're still in like the before Christ, BC, right? That whole model, right? Because again, we just have not. First of all, we haven't unlocked something to say, hey, people come play this yet. We're all beta testers right now, right? Like in the Web 2 space, man, we would be getting paid. We would all be rich right now. I don't know why we're still here, right?
Well, I don't know. I did QA testing in Web 2 and it didn't pay. It was usually volunteer basis.
One of my friends told me he was making over 100K doing it. And of course, it's like playing like maybe, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours a day, but still like, man, we're over here speculating, God, and playing video games and telling people their feedback for free.
It's very interesting.
Go for it.
If I can make this point is that like in Web 2, right? An alpha is not something that's public, right? Because an alpha is not the actual complete game. It may have the elements of the whole game there, but they haven't been flushed out. So they're at kind of like ground zero. And then, and there's a lot of confusion in the Web3 space as what's an alpha and beta. And I can automatically tell like when a studio says like, this is our alpha or this is the beta. And I look at it and I'm like, these guys have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. And it's so fucking obvious, right? So we have our beta out since May of this year until August, right? I mean, our alpha. And now we're finally coming into our beta. And so what that means is that the beta, the game is fundamentally complete, but it's not feature complete, right?
Exactly.
That may take another year or so, right? But basically the gameplay is done at the beta phase, right? Like it's done. Like it's a complete game, right?
Yes.
Not all the supporting elements are there. And so like, if we're like basing gamers to come into an alpha, like a true alpha, right? The retention is going to be horrible. My game in particular, I love my alpha, but I am a competitive gamer. I'm a game designer, right? Would I go out and say, this is the best game in the world? Like I'm going to acquire and retain users right now? No, that's why I haven't been spending money on marketing. Dub knows this because, we work together on some stuff and he's asking me for more marketing money and shit. I'm like, bro, why would I fucking do that? Because I'm not going to retain the users. But now when I'm pushing the beta now, why do I push the beta? It's because now the gameplay is complete and polished to the point where I feel there's that level of replayability where then now I can spend the marketing money to retain players, right?
Thank you. I have been saying this for a while now. All these games, like we're launching our beta, come play our game. You're not a beta. You're not, dude. I have done QA in Web 2. I have professional QA experience. At the beta phase, all of your core features, the core gameplay loop, all of your main stuff should be in the game. A prime example is, I think it was Undead Blocks. They were like, we're launching our public beta. Bro, you got one map, like 5 weapons and no multiplayer. How's that a beta?
I
just say you're launching an early alpha.
Yeah. The real mystery is how you're still surprised by all this, Karen. We've been here long enough now.
I've been yelling about this since
I'm not criticizing.
So many of these betas are lucky to even be considered an alpha by normal dev standards. Like at best, you're an early vertical slice.
Well, there's this pressure from the community and from investors, right? And that's the issue with building in live, right? Like if we were building Noah's Ark live, right? People would be bored as shit.
Yeah, but I think let's backtrack for a second. It's like, let's look at how many of these Web3 games, when they first came out, said, we're going to do this NFT for the game. And so like, essentially that sale of NFT wasn't like, that asset was, sure, it's for the game. But that asset sale was for them to raise funds to be able to build the studio, right? So the language has been so fucked up in this space from the very beginning of like, hey, launching your game. It's like, hey, you're going to get this NFT skin or this NFT character for the game. And so the people already think like, hey, this game's going to be around the corner. I'm going to go buy this NFT, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, it's still far out. So then you have all of a sudden this community that you built because you sold out 10,000 NFTs that are like, when game, when token, when moon.
The best analogy, I can give on exactly what Jorge is saying is like, let's say there's a new like suburban development out there and you have the model house, okay? Now, the model house could be actually somewhere downtown and you see the model house, it's fantastic, you see everything and you buy it, right? But if you were actually to go to the site, it may still be a field, right? And then you go there another year later, there are like plywood structures out there with a dirt road. And then another year later, maybe the first 3 houses are done, but there's no electricity, there's no plumbing actually active, right? And then people are kind of going there, but in Web3, they're literally going there like every half of a day and saying, why is there still a dirt road here, right? And then whatever the reason for the studios to have launched their NFTs. I mean, we launched our NFTs just because we felt without launching our NFTs, and we launched them in December 2002, right? So like very early, and coming from more of a traditional gaming background, I was very apprehensive about doing it. But I felt like if I didn't do that, I would not be included in any conversation Web3, right? And then the thing is, so you're included in the conversation, but that what are you promising with this? I mean, I just did a tweet a few days ago and I said, option A, make a really nice gameplay trailer that has nothing to do with your game and then never deliver the game, or actually do the development, launch the game, right? And then, polish it when you get to beta. And I said, well, that's what we did. And we actually have a game that's getting to beta, right? But I would say that we have super underperformed to our peers in terms of our NFT floor price, because we didn't engage in that narrative to say, hey, here are some expectations for you guys, and you should be really hyped about this, right?
Right, but I also think that what you did wasn't like what the normal is of like a $500 NFT or $1,000 NFT, right? Like you made this a very easyable way to get into your game, right? What was the mint price originally for the mint?
No, ours is free. It's always been free. We're still free.
Yeah.
Right. Everything
Well,
that anyone buys is on the secondary market. Yeah.
I'm over here paying for them. What am I doing?
All right.
I'm gonna transfer you one, man.
All right.
Hey, Jim Karen, did I transfer you one? Dub, I transferred you guys one. Yeah. If someone's a gamer, I just give them.
Jorge, you actually have to be a gamer, bro, and play the game. That's why you had to pay.
You're just a strategist, bro.
You're just a
strategist. For anybody watching these games, for anybody watching this show, these guys are my These guys, you know what my mama always said? You know, what is that saying? Why have friends when you have enemies, or why have enemies when you have friends? There you go.
Hang on, guys. Okay, so we're gonna push the conversation forward. So we had the GTA 6 trailer announced, GTA 6 confirmed. Awesome. In the same note, we also have a live action Zelda movie confirmed. Now that got me thinking. This really got me thinking because I'm excited for a live action Zelda movie. I've seen a fan attempt at Majora's Mask, looked really good, really interested in this, but it really got me thinking, what Web3 game would you like to see a movie made over? And I'm going to be completely honest.
I'd watch that.
I would watch
an anime. Make a movie.
I was about to say, I'd watch an anime for Meiji. But in terms of live action...
Oh, we're going to do live action too. We're going to do a Netflix series, a movie,
look,
the VR stuff is going to be banger. I can't wait.
Oh, VR? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Quest 6.
Yeah.
But Shrapnel, hear me out. A Shrapnel movie. I would totally dig a Shrapnel movie.
But I don't think there's enough depth there quite yet. I mean, I haven't read the full comics. I don't know all of the lore. It could be, and it could be great, but like, I still think they have some more story to write before.
For sure.
Really there.
I agree.
Okay, so we're just I'm just saying. Out. Okay, parallel.
Yeah, dreams. Oh, I didn't think about
parallel. Would be fantastic, man.
Yeah, that's a good pick too. And they've already got a banger intro cinematic. Like that intro cinematic gave me goosebumps because playing at TCG, I don't expect cinematics. And then that came in and I was like,
right. I could see Wildcard pulling off something close to like Arcane, right? And like a story amongst all their, and they have the right people to do it too, right? So like,
but now we're talking about like whatever, like $20 million an episode or something, right? This is not like shortened like in the. But for my particular game, Yakuza, whatever genre, I think we could pull it off for some,
I know some great spots in New York City.
I'm just saying, it looks like Netflix is looking for content. They're out there throwing money at everybody.
Everyone's looking for content.
And I don't know if you guys saw the news. They're even going to be licensing content from Disney Plus. Like Netflix is dying to get content people want to watch. Let's be honest. I've been checking out the Netflix originals. Very dartboardy. Some of them are freaking great. Some of them not so great. So they need content.
I'll give you a tip, Jim Karen. If you watch Netflix and how much they sponsor and finance Korean shows, you'll see a huge library. They do a lot for Korean dramas because they get picked up worldwide. You guys are not the target market. I am actually not the target market, even if I'm Korean.
You say that, but I watch Squid Games, and now my entire Netflix recommendation is like all Korean stuff. And I've actually tried a few of the different shows that they've presented, and they're usually really good. Korean drama, like Korean shows in general, I don't know what they're doing over there, but their writing, I just enjoy it a lot more than Western writing.
Koreans were just very emotionally twisted people.
I know. I don't mean to insult, but you sound like my mom sometimes, Jim Karen, and I just love it. She said the same thing. The other really cool thing in the space, there actually is a game out there that just launched an animated short that is very good, and it's Phantom Galaxies, actually, believe it or not.
I'll have to check that out.
Their game has always been a great narrative story. It's what it originally was, right? It wasn't about multiplayer or anything like that. It was like, here's your normal one-player narrative story to go play in this mech world, and it was a deep lore, and it was great. Like even I streamed it to my my Web 2 friends, right, and they love it. They still talk about Pinaway and everything like that. So like on the film side of things, I'm really looking forward to the anime that is coming from Phantom Galaxies.
Yeah, but Jim Karen, I think you just touched on the next great meta that all Web3 content creators will now touch upon, and it's going to be basically trailer 2.0. Instead of building your game actually, why not just build an anime or a live movie or something like that, and then say that this is supporting your game, and just divert all your resources towards that, and then your game will never have to come out. You'll never have to make revenue, and you can stay in this like speculative pocket forever. Yeah,
Sinjin,
I'll probably get recommendations for that.
I'm over here trying to be optimistic and find new avenues for games to explore, and you're like, let's see how we can exploit this.
Well, because the funny thing though is that games are in Web3 afraid to get to product and launch their actual game, because there is also this divide where before you launch your product, raising on an idea, right, and raising on floor price and vanity metrics, right? When you actually have your game out, you actually have to see whether you're growing or not, or whether you're getting revenue. And I think a lot of these gutless wanks out here, they're scared shitless to try to actually launch a game that actually will make revenue. That's just not like Ponzonomics, right?
We got our gutless wanks for the episode. There we go. Yeah. He finally said it.
Gotta say it at least once a week.
Exactly. So, but that does bring up our next topic, which is going to help games go to market faster, and that is the launch of Solana's Game Shift beta. This is supposed to make it a lot easier for games to incorporate Web3 elements into their game. I'm kind of excited for it, because if we can see more games pick it up and see how seamless it makes the transition, I think this could be a very good thing for developers.
Dude, I'm so excited for the way Solana did this. I met with their CTO back when I was at the Solana Play GG on getting being a part of that API, and the way they did it was so freaking cool. They let their ecosystem go, right? And they're totally indie. They're like, oh, you want to build something? Build something. You want me to give you a token? No, screw off. Like if you want to build. And then everyone built. And then some ancillary like servicing providers popped up with APIs and stuff to make it easier to build and stuff. And then they literally just went around to all the devs and was like, which ones do you want in the API, guys? We got this whole ecosystem. Everyone wants to play together, and they basically just let their economy organically grow, or ecosystem, like just organically grow. And then they pick the best part and put it in an API. Brilliant.
Can you give me more background on it? 'Cause I'm not familiar, because I don't follow Anal OS actually at all.
Yeah.
So if you can give me some background, I'd appreciate it.
Like essentially what the service is that as game devs come on, they have this suite of applications to help them. There's how to get on this marketplace easily, how to what have you, like for my previous stuff, and like a questing platform, and like here's the plugins to all of the questing platform and what have you.
Yeah, so essentially what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it to where you can implement Web3 elements in your game using a single REST API and never having to touch blockchain code. That's their goal. So it's going to make people who aren't necessarily familiar with, all the Web3 coding aspects it's going to make it a lot easier for them to get involved and kind of integrate those systems. So I think it's good. Anything that helps devs out is obviously a win for developers. So whether or not we see games start to adopt this after they've already kind of integrated their own systems, I don't know. But for new games coming in, I think that this is a good resource.
Like rental systems, like everything, like at the click of the button, ready to go, like Dream It. It's not like you have to develop it. It's here's the API.
Yeah, I think this will be another great onboarding tool, just like when Solana made it really easy to launch tokens, and then suddenly every fucking token on the world came out. So maybe we'll see a new resurgence of shitty studios who don't have any idea what they're doing with gaming, be able to apply all of these third-party tools without actually looking at the core fundamentals of what a Web3 game is. Great job, Anal OS. Keep the stuff going.
Hey, Sinjin, we got to go through thousands of shit to find a diamond, baby.
Look, I'm just saying.
We're going in.
It's no different than Steam. I go to Steam, I look on the charts to try and find a new game. How many garbage like mobile ports do I have to sift through before I finally find a game worth playing? Right?
That's why I say Solana's
It
indie.
happens.
It's just going to be this indie chain where any nut, and sure, 90% of them are going to be fuck nuts, and they're going to just take everything, But there are 10% of these guys, like the Alchemy team, that are on Solana trying to build cool stuff.
Oh man, what you got anything to say, Jorge? I saw you kind of like go in at it.
Look, I think Solana, from when the get-go, I think they were always very innovative of the way they wanted to look at the gaming atmosphere, right? And we always said that, originally when Solana introduced a lot of this, we thought it made sense for gaming, right? I think it was like the light bulb moment for us, maybe 3-4 years ago. And so it's great to see that they're delivering on a product like they've talked about for so many years. But it almost wonder again, like, where are we with being able to go from chain to chain as a gamer without having to do all the craziness that we have to go, right? And so, like, I look at Solana, right, with the phone, the Saga phone, right? Like, is that going to be a great way for gamers or mobile gaming, right, to be able to maybe be the lead in that sense? I don't know, but again, like the infrastructure, we're so early. Again, like we're not in year one of Web3 gaming, that the infrastructure, like it's great. Like we're hearing this just being built, but think about how far ahead we are already in the space, right? It's like, man, where will we be in a year? What else can we really develop? But again, what is the key issue in the Web3 space and gaming, right? Like, is it the user onboard still? Is it, I don't know. Is it the games not being able to fully, like having to spend too much money on blockchain development, right? Like, let alone like talking about how much money games have to spend just to build a game. They also have to spend money to build on a blockchain, right? Like, and like the tools they need and the security features and all this craziness. So like there's a more spend in gaming already in Web3 gaming just to build. So like, where are we with being able to make a lot of things more usable for people?
I would like to see it be more usable for the users. Like helping devs is great and all, but I want to help people not need 20 different wallets to access the entire Web3 ecosystem. I want to be able to just sign up for a game and have an account and not have to worry about my wallet at all if I want to, initially onboard. I feel like the user experience is where we should be putting more resources. Developers, again, like you mentioned, it's a little late for this. A lot of people have already built their games. They've already built their rental systems. So this is great for new people coming in. But for the existing ecosystem, I don't think there's really a huge benefit here.
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, everyone's missing something, dude. Like every single game team is like, oh man, I wish I could figure out rentals. Oh man, I wish I knew how to get on Epic Game Store. Whatever.
You wish you could figure out rentals? I got an organization for you. They're called ReNFT. You should probably check them out. We can help you out with rentals.
That'd be a great plan.
I am. I hate to be. Is it called Debbie Downer? Is that the term in America?
Yeah.
Because number one is I'm building on ETH and blah blah blah, and whenever these points come up about like ease of onboarding, I'm always like, you guys are totally fucking missing the point, so on and so forth. And the main thing though is like in gaming, especially when we're at this kind of innovative stage, right? We don't know what we don't know yet, right? And what that means is that fundamentally, like rental systems and all these other things, right? We know how Axie did it. Right? But if you make a generic rental system, right, is that really going to work with the type of game that you're making? And if you are, essentially making a game and then you're adding in these generic systems that people have made, questing, so on and so forth, and it's not directly tied to the type of game that you are, and if the game economy is an actual open, sustainable game economy, or that's what you want to do, right? Those nuances matter so much that you will have to kind of retool and create your own infrastructure anyways. And what's traditionally happened in gaming is that once a game proves out a certain model of how things are done, right, then that becomes, an accepted infrastructure because game designers see what the real outcome is and they design with that infrastructure in mind, right? But if you're creating generic types of, supporting infrastructure, right? Game developers, if they were to use those ones as is, right, they would not be maximizing what their game should be, right? And then you would end up with just basically not getting the value add from these infrastructure plays, right? Adding on, right? And this is where it's like kind of like incrementally better rather than 10x, because 10x comes when you layer a lot of things. I'll give an example with fun. Okay, so when we first proposed our particular game, my senior producer was like, I don't see how this is going to be fun, right? Mm-hmm. So I had to basically, as the founder say, I didn't say shut the fuck up, Danny, but I said, Danny, can you have some fucking faith in me and like let's fucking go through the motions, right? And he prototyped for 2 months, right? To come to basically the same conclusion, come to the conclusion that I had actually set out forth, but I had to let him do that because there were learnings to do that with, right? So 2 months of prototyping, which isn't that long for an original game. But once we got a kind of spark of fun, then we nurture that fun. And then every added functionality that we add onto it, or every kind of development of the core gameplay, then that gets kind of, we look at how it augments. So there were some times where we would do 3 builds and we would say, hey, we lost the fun here. And then we'd have to scrap 3 builds and come back to a build where the fun was there before, and then, so on and so forth. Now, imagine that is one aspect of fun, but imagine that as, your, NFT rental system or your scholarship system or whatever you want to call it, without kind of, how do I say, layering on things to whatever your core game is to really augment it and just kind of adding it as a kind of a checklist. I think it's a dead end, because you're not going to get to a game which is special, and games have to be special. When people say this game is a good game, are they really saying it's an adequate game that I'm willing to play if there's a token attached, or are they actually saying it's a good game that I'm willing to say, dream about? For me, a game is fun enough and qualifies for fun when you're not playing it and it wakes you up enough. Like you think about the game and you're kind of sleeping and you wake up, it makes you kind of feel like I want to wake up and go and play this game, right? And if it doesn't hit that threshold, that minimum threshold, then that's not really a game because it's not going to last. It's not going to be around,
Man, you hit the nail on the head for me, at least. World of Warcraft had a huge update this morning this week. And every morning I wake up going, man, I got to jump in and grind. And that's what I feel like I'm missing from Web3. There isn't a game yet. And it's, again, we don't have hardly any 1.0 releases. So there's not really a reason for me to wake up and want to grind, right? It revolves a lot right now, at least, around financial gain. If I'm grinding in the dead blocks, I'm looking for those Z-Bucks. If I'm playing big time, I'm farming for token and cosmetics. Like everything that we have right now is so focused on finance. I want that game that makes me just want to wake up and play it. That's what I'm looking for.
And here's the killer thing is that when you find another game that's an FPS shooter that you can earn a little bit more on, right, that is equally fun or a little bit more fun, are you going to play Undead Blocks? No, you're not. You're not gonna spend time, and this is exactly what happened right after Axie Infinity, is that every new play-to-earn game that came out, right, that was brand new that you were early to, the guilds would literally shift their whole player base there, exploit the fuck out of it, and then leave, and go to the place where they had the most maximum earnings, right?
That's a good point.
But I don't think we're there now. I think we're so much more evolved than we were 2 years ago. But again, I'm not shitting on these infrastructure companies and so on and so forth, especially some of the ones I'm working with right now. They do get it. They have a lot more flexibility there, and they have a lot more custom tooling that's included.
Mm-hmm.
But we're still quite early.
Yeah,
exactly.
But has that shift really happened, right? Because look at Axie, look at Ronin right now, right? Look at the DAUs with what they're doing, right? Is it back to again what it really was, but it just masked in a new skin? I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, I looked at Pixel.
Axie's cranking out games.
It's what Sinjin just said. It's the guild coming in. Mm-hmm. Let's get as much damn berry as we can get.
That's what I'm saying.
And then it's on to the next one. Yeah, sorry.
That's what I'm saying. Is it back? Though what I'm saying is it back to that again?
Yes and no. I mean, because here's the thing, right? All the games that came out right after Axie Infinity basically were using the same concept tooling as Axie Infinity, right? And so anything that's on the Ronin chain is going there and understanding that these are like the current infrastructure and this is the current setup of Axie. And so if the game can aptly, adjust their game to work within that infrastructure and get benefit from it, then absolutely, I think for Axie and the Ronin ecosystem, that the particular games that work with those toolings already for value add, they're going to do good, right? But then it comes down to this, right? Then what is our industry really driven by? Is it driven by ease of use, or is it driven by a hit game? And we always try to ignore it because a hit game is so difficult to get to. So it's better to have a discussion without this, right? Mm-hmm. But in one way, though, having a discussion without understanding that games are a hit-driven business means that everything that we're saying is all bullshit. Because it's completely irrelevant. Because yes, maybe onboarding does matter, but it only matters after there's a hit game. Yes, maybe all the infrastructure and everything, ease of development is good, but it only matters if there is that we know that this infrastructure does lead to a 10x, like it does in Axie Infinity's, Ronin infrastructure, right? Yeah. For the games that work with the Ronin infrastructure and the way that they've done everything.
The onboarding thing is just what bad game devs point at as this is why people aren't in my game today. This is why, and it's bullshit, right? And if you want to gloat about Ronin's DAU, take a look at the Machines Arena DAU. And let's chat. Let's see if that's good. And you'll get an idea of why Ronin's ecosystem is the way it is.
Here's the thing, though. I do like the Machines Arena, but I'm looking at the whole Ronin ecosystem. Every Axie game I have played is essentially the same. It is a card game. They reuse a lot of the same metadata. They reuse the same assets, and it's almost like Control-C, Control-V between each game. Kagi had made a post once upon a time showing a screenshot of some soccer game, and I was like, wait, I played that one. No, wait, that's not it. That's a different game. But it's the same UI, it's the same cards, it's the same everything. And then they announced the Zoids game, and I'm like, oh my God, Zoids is back. I loved Zoids as a kid, right? And I go and look at the game. It's another freaking TCG.
But it's
right now, in my opinion, Ronin, the only thing Ronin has that stands out is the Machines Arena to me. Everything else is just TCGs left and right.
But is Machine Arena doing very well on the Ronin network? Dub? No. Because because the Machines Arena is not able to take advantage of the infrastructure that Ronin has already set up. So if a game is more TCG oriented or like card battle or whatever like that, Ronin's infrastructure is designed to promote that and give extra value there, right? So that's exactly what I'm trying to say, right? Yep. So not every game may actually match up and get benefit from being on Ronin's infrastructure and ecosystem because where the value is, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Nope, I agree with you.
And it's kind of why I was asking, is Pixels just another way for it to? It could be and it can't be. I don't know. It's too early to tell.
Tell me about the Pixels game. I have not followed it.
I was about to say, I actually forgot Pixels recently migrated to Ronin. I am not familiar with them yet either. From everything I've seen, it looks like a social
Give us the rundown
game.
On Pixels.
Pixels is a weird in-browser experience game that basically prioritizes being in an area in one land together and doing a party or whatever. And then they're selling land and all that crap too. So it's just about, rather than showing up and playing a TCG, it's about showing up and waving your hands inside this browser experience.
Sounds perfect for Ronin. Fantastic.
Exactly. That's
good
why
value.
That's why the tweets are the way
selling
they
land
are.
And shit like that. I owned an Arctic land in Axie, as I had a 300-person Axie Infinity thing. I sold it. But yeah, I had that land. I bought items with it, and I was able to do nothing. And then when they launched the farming game, I looked at it and I'm like, bro, this is way far from where whatever. Okay, fine, fuck it. Bye land. But they did have the infrastructure for me to buy the land and buy the items for my land. And if there was a land game, I'm sure it works very well with what Axie has already tooled out.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and the scholarship model and everything, right? Like,
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of why I go back to like play to earn, right? Is play to earn dead, right? Is it really dead, or is it that we just never understood the audience behind it, right? Like there are some games that play to earn that you could definitely market to, and if you market correctly, you could do really well. But do all games fit that play to earn model? I don't think so, right? And so I think like you're looking at this again, and you're like let's step back. Is this kind of the play to earn model, and who is it that they're going to be going after, and the demographics and everything? So
I think it's absolutely. What's the term that I can use in 2023 for something that's immediate, like super stupid? Like, back
dumb.
in the 80s, we used to
just
dumb.
keep it
just
dumb.
We'll just say dumb, okay? Like the fact that we're talking about play to earn as a legit term again is so motherfucking dumb. I can say the motherfucking part, right? Yeah. I'm not going to get canceled for that.
I mean, we're not monetized on YouTube anyway, so
we already said it. So,
Sounds good. Because when things kind of work again, right? Then we say like, oh, it's back. No, it's not back. I mean, have the fundamental issues been solved? No. I mean, where's SLP at? Like, it could pump like another 10%, but it's down like whatever 99% of where it was from like its highs. Will it ever get there with the oversupply it has? Probably.
Sinjin, I'm not sure if you're aware, but play to earn has existed forever. It still exists today in Web 2, and it's not going anywhere. World of Warcraft has their own token, fluctuates based on supply and demand, and can be extracted to credit in the Activision Blizzard store. So I will give
you a definition of what play to earn is specifically for Web3. Because if you're saying that you're applying it to a Web2 game that it wasn't applied to before, okay, it's kind of like revisionist kind of like understanding here, okay? Because play to earn was specifically, how do I say, associated and developed with obviously Axie Infinity. Right. And in that case, the main thing with play to earn was that there was no risk for winning. So if you lost, you didn't earn. But if you won, you earned. Right. So essentially, there was no real risk of losing something, though. You just didn't gain something. And so as long as you played and you had X amount of wins, you earned something. And so the supply of the token just kept on inflating. Right. And that's the premise of play to earn, is that everyone who plays can earn, right? 100% without risking anything, right?
That's the same for World of Warcraft. Everybody who plays World of Warcraft can earn just from playing the game.
You're doing mental gymnastics to prove this to yourself, man. Like it's a different context. You get store credit, bro. Like you're not like, that's great and that's a monetary value to you, but to everyone in the Philippines, that's not. Like, and that wouldn't have changed the economy in the Philippines. And like, if they allowed it direct to bank transfers and you could do something that was on your mobile phone, just tapping it, and grandma could do it, sure. But
and the key thing though too is that the token was tradable on the secondary market, and that's a huge difference, right? Whereas like, let's say there are so many games that would reward people for playing, but they're rewarding them in fiat. So there is a limitation to how much you can give out X amount of US dollars for, or X amount of credit in the game before, the game is basically saying, okay, this promotion is now dead, or we're going to reset like the rewards here because it's just crushing our revenues. Whereas like in a play to earn Web3 setting and terminology, right? It's basically inflating the secondary supply as well, right? Where the token is. And that doesn't exist in Web 2 because they don't have the secondary market where the token has a fluctuating price, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. World of Warcraft's token fluctuates in price. It is
on a secondary market. And everyone
it depends on what you define as secondary, because I buy it through the Blizzard store and then I sell it in the game. So technically,
no, that's not a secondary market, man. That's like that's another platform, closed platform, whatever, so on and so forth, right?
Oh, I'm not saying it's an open ecosystem. I'm not.
But that's the whole premise of it, because of the nature of the cryptocurrency, right? So when you were to say, like, if someone was to say, someone was saying that, what was it, like, Fortnite or CS:GO is like a Web3 game, right? Like
CS:GO.
You guys are like on
CS:GO. Everybody says CS:GO.
Yeah. You're on crack. Okay, like that's not a case, right? The only reason why there's any value to the skins at all is because it is a massively popular game where the game itself and the IP of it and the player base at 2 million players, whatever, concurrent or whatever daily, is creating that value for the ability for that to trade, right?
Whereas someone added Web3 to the market for the skins, but this game itself is by no means Web3. And that's what I think people confuse and conflate a lot, is just because there is markets available that you trade your skins via crypto does not mean it is a Web3 game. It is an external platform, completely segregated and separate.
But Jim Karen, I guess the only point that I want to make, the nuances really matter here, right? Because here's the thing, right? Yeah, so in the play to earn with Axie Infinity, at one point for over a 3-month period, Axie Infinity made $1 billion in revenue, right? But they could only do that because their AXS token had inflated to $240, right? Yeah. Well, has that ever happened in World of Warcraft? It hasn't.
Right? They actually just hit an all-time high for their token. I think it was like 3 weeks ago. It actually made news. Like, that's what I'm saying. It fluctuates.
I'm gonna beat the shit out of you when I meet you in person, man. Right? Because you can say all these little like whatever exceptional things, but like in the actual context of it,
But here is something that I want to point out though. How many people do you see on Twitter and Reddit and everything else talking about WoW's token price? Outside of that one article talking about all-time high, I have never seen anybody discuss token price. Because they want to play the game, they want to have fun. That should be the focus, and
that's not the main premise, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Earn is not the premise of WoW. Right?
Exactly,
it's not the key driver.
So to move it forward, here's my question: with CS:GO, how does CS:GO get considered a Web3 game? Does it mean no? Don't. That's not how. If they made all their skins NFTs on chain,
okay,
Web3 game, right? Or if they establish a marketplace that allows you to sell your skins for ETH or Bitcoin or what have you, does that make CSGO now a Web3 game? Everything else is inside their ecosystem, but they allow you to exit the ecosystem for the cryptocurrency.
I think absolutely it does. And then it changes the fundamental game entirely, right? Because then everyone starts to try to extract fully on this game, and then they will have to adjust the gameplay to basically not give out X amount of skins or so on and so forth, or create scarcity or whatever like that. Because if they don't do that, right, then basically once the game's items or the tokens become the main incentive driver rather than the gameplay itself, right, that as soon as that actually drops, right, then the user base also drops as well. So let's say that they actually did that hypothetically. Maybe then instead of 2 million players, they had 10 million players, right? But as soon as that goes, right, then it goes back down to 2 million players, right? As soon as the token and everything else like that drops, right?
Well, this wasn't.
I mean, today you get a free skin every week, right? And like essentially, if they did that, then they'd probably knock that back, right, to once a month or something, and then got rid of it, or what have you.
And then maybe the game doesn't become accessible anymore because then suddenly all the assets become so high, right? And then everyone's like, fuck this. I'm not going to pay like fucking $200 a week for skins.
No wonder they keep it all in the Steam marketplace.
Well, we went a little off the rails. This wasn't supposed to be a play to earn space anyway, or vodcast anyway, but does anybody, I'm assuming does anybody have any final thoughts before we wrap things up? We are like 20 minutes over now.
No, it just, my final thoughts.
Karen, I'm going to give you a big hug if I see you. I'm not going to beat the shit out of you.
Karen's quivering in his boots over there.
No, we've met in person.
I was about to say, I've met St. John in person. He's a good dude.
Yeah, but imagine if he was threatening you, right?
So guess what? Wait till you meet me in person, all right, Jim Karen?
You don't have to
I might be a little scared then. I don't know. You don't seem so big and cuddly. You've got some muscle on you. I might be a little scared.
Jorge's less impressive in person.
Yeah, way less impressive. I can vouch for that. He's pretty tiny.
Yeah, he looks big on camera. That's because he's all cut and shapely and shit like that. But in person,
it's all camera angles. That's why it's so far away.
Right.
Hey, filters, man.
Yeah, right. Sure. Well, that's going to be a wrap for us, folks. This is another great episode of The Block Sauce. Even if we did go a little off the rails at the end, it was fun. I love the discussions. And thank you again to St. John, Dub, and Jorge for joining us. Appreciate you as always. We also couldn't have done it without all our supporters. Thank you, everybody who stopped by, answered the questions, joined in the discussion. I appreciate it. I did read all the messages, I promise, even if I didn't shout you out. Remember that the sauce never stops flowing. Stay connected with us on social media at The Block Sauce with a 3 at the end on Twitter. Also, if you're watching this, you're probably already watching on YouTube, so you know where our YouTube is. Hit that like and subscribe. Throw on the bell so you'll be notified when we go live next. That's going to be it for today. Thank you.
Oh, and Jim Kieran.
Hang on. What? Yeah, go for it.
I would like to give out one Meiji NFT, which is currently at like about 0.1 ETH, to one of the commenters on Block Sauce. So like whichever comment you thought was good and they're a gamer and they want to try out Meiji, happy to give them one. And we're on Ethereum. Okay, so I'm paying the fine gas.
Is marketing. Watch out, guys.
Beta's coming out, motherfuckers.
Got a Meiji up for grabs.
And for those that are watching or listening, just so you know, I paid for mine on OpenSea.
I'm pretty sure I put them on a whitelist of mint for free, and Jorge never did it.
I believe it,
bro.
I mean, we've had a lot of comments today. I mean, Doug was in the chat. We had Bryson. We had Graslow, Rod. Woo! Lots of people that showed up.
Well, you
today.
get the pick, my man. You got the
Jorge.
power.
Jorge was in the chats.
Jorge, you're disqualified. You have one, even if you did buy it.
Thank you, Jorge. I appreciate the support, though. The money didn't really come to us, but that's good.
Okay, Sinjin, you have to pick.
No.
No. I'm picking two. You got to decide between the two because I'm voting Graslow or Bryson.
Ooh,
Graslow already has one.
Well,
and I don't know if my PFP is on brand for Bryson because it is pretty. I've had content creators say they do not want to work with us because our PFPs are too sexy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if not Bryson, then it's gonna go to Doug Hype because I know he's a gamer and I know that he'll try Meiji. So
fantastic.
Graslow said Bryson should get it too. Graslow also agreed Bryson should get it.
All right. Well, if Bryson wants it, but if he doesn't, then
I say we reach out to Bryson. We'll see if we can get his wallet address if he's interested, and if not, we'll give it to Doug. How about that?
As you wish. Damn. I don't like to get involved with the decision making for here.
There we go.
Second pick Doug over here, man.
Sorry,
buddy.
Look, I'm sorry, Doug. I'm sorry. I'm trying to help Sinjin market.
Hey, Doug has a point here. He said Bryson doesn't even game.
Oh, I don't think that's the point. He does game.
All right.
We ain't going there. We ain't going there. We're done.
No. Bryson is a great guy from all accounts. I haven't met him personally, but every single person I've talked to says that Bryson is a really solid dude. But I don't really need to give them to content creators. I don't need the fucking hype. What I want is fucking gamers.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
They're both gamers though. That's the hard part.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, Bryson's playing like 200 games and he's reviewing everything like this.
True.
I want someone in our community who games.
Exactly.
Like I said, both of them are gamers. Both of them are good picks. So we will see who gets it. Again, I'll reach out to Bryson, see if he's interested in it. If not, we'll give it to Doug. I know both of them will play the game and check it out. So
no, I need devoted cultists in my game.
Yeah, I mean,
cultists. Oh, he wants cultists. That's definitely Doug.
Yeah,
That's definitely
somebody in the chat even said Jorge's the main gamer, so I believe whoever that was.
Oh my God! Nope, that's it. We're wrapping it up. Sorry,
Jorge. Damn.
They're like gamer the Jorge the gamer. You can't
okay.
gamer without.
If you can get your wife to game, I'll give you one. Give one to your wife, man.
Where did this go? Okay, that's gonna be it for today.
I'll give one to your partner as well.
I will see. He might actually. That would be a good way to try and get him into Web3.
I love to get spouses to play together.
I would love to see if I can get him involved in a Web3 game. So that would be fantastic. That's going to be it for us today, though, Sauce enthusiasts. Join us next time for another thrilling episode of The Block Sauce, where we'll keep the gaming flame alive and the discussion sizzling. Stay saucy and keep gaming in the exciting realm of Web3. Have a good one.
Ciao.